That's Jim would like to speak on that.
I think there's a number of solutions, but what we are looking for and the Equitas Society is looking for is something that is equal to what other veterans received with their disabilities previously, or what other Canadians get through the Workers' Compensation Program, or if it's going to be a lump sum payment, that is equal to what other Canadians get through the court system. But I don't think our veterans should take any less than any other Canadian or any other past serving veteran. So that will be the solution, is to make sure that there's equal to what other people have got in the past and in the present.
Basically restoring it to what it was. Would you settle for any less than that?
Well, I'll let Don speak to settlements, but there is different methods of resolution, but whatever the method is, it has to be equal. So if you're going to do lump sums, they have to be equal to what the courts would give for lump sums. If it's going to be a pension, it would have to be equal to what was prior or to what was in the Workers' Compensation Program. You can't just handpick a little bit here, a little bit there, and throw together something which really has all the names associated with of a good compensation program, but the buck stops with the dollar amounts and the type of compensation they get over a prolonged period of time, and that's where I think the issues break down, is when the veterans compare their benefits from the time that they're injured, usually in their early 20s, to the time that they're going to their life expectancy. They can see that there's significantly less under the new Veterans Charter, although it is lump summed up front, which is supposed to help them. And that's a theory that was untested. But I think now we're 7 years into that theory, and we're having the veterans come forward and saying it was a good theory, but it is not working in all cases. Don?
It isn't just the fact of a lump sum, it's the amount of the lump sum. The courts award judgments, which are in effect lump sums now. And I did residential school cases, and some people got a judgment awarding damages. Often, as a lawyer, we will say to them, you should invest this for your future. The fact that you've got a lump sum award, which, by the way, in those types of situations are many times what the lump sum is under this scheme. But even under the more generous lump sums you'd get in a normal litigation context, usually we would advise our clients to put it into some sort of an annuity, some sort of a situation where they could be looking forward to the future. Because if you get a lump sum and you spend it all at once and then you can't support your family down the road, then you're going to have a greater problem, a social problem.
The lump sum in itself, you also made the point earlier, a lot of these veterans are younger than veterans were in past years, so they maybe don't have the same priorities, and financially they might fulfill more immediate goals. Is the lump sum really the issue? Do you want to go back to a more gradual payout?
All I'm saying is that there are lump sum. We are in a situation where just about all of these injuries have been given a value by a court somewhere in another context, and in that context you can get a lump sum. The father in me says, I don't really want if I had a son, I wouldn't want my son to get a big lump sum. I would want him to be able to be sure that he's going to support his family going forward. The lawyer in me says that's a choice that the individual should make. In a policy sense, which is what Parliament should be considering, I prefer to come at it as a father than as the lawyer, and say we should look after the future of our soldiers and the future and their families. Remember that this also affects the families, and a lot of the phone calls I get on a daily basis are from spouses saying, and often the affected veteran is not even capable of making a phone call. They're so paralyzed, they're so upset by this. They feel betrayed by their country. They served their country, and now here they are, not even able. The reason there's a lot of suicides is that they feel that they're not able to do anything, that they're not able to contribute to their families. And so we through the Equitas Society, are urging that there be a system in place that can provide that safety net that our veterans need when they come back into society for themselves and their families.
There's a visual I like to pass on to anyone who talks to me about this, and it's a comparison to someone in 2005 and 2006. Losing the legs at the knees, that's 100% payout. So 250 grand in 2006. Prior to that, that individual, each of those two different years, as a wife, 2 kids, the 100% payout prior was 5,500 a month, compared to the 250 one-time lump sum payout, 250,000. If each of those people live 40 years, at the end of that 40 years, the traditional vet with the Veterans Act pension gets 2.6 million compared to 250,000. Here's the worst math of all. It's something I don't like to think about, but it's a picture. If an individual serving overseas were to lose their arms, their legs, every part of them that they can survive without, in comparison to the 100% payout that stops right there, they're still only going to get 250,000. Is that fair? No. So.
Anything else then?
You know, there's a lot of publicity and outrage, and it's really sparked a national discussion, all these suicides. Do you think that, as unfortunate as they are, do you feel like the climate is changing? And do you feel like you're getting more traction on this issue these days? I mean, because, you know, I've been covering veterans issues for years, but it seems that, and I'm wondering if you think, are we on the cusp of real change because of the outrage that these recent suicides caused?
I wouldn't say it's just the suicides. I would say that in 2011, when we went to the public, very few people had an understanding. The media themselves were simply just rebroadcasting statements coming out of the Veterans Affairs Canada. There really wasn't the critical eye. If we move ahead 2.5, 3 years, this is a very contentious issue. It's picked up by all the radio talk shows and the TVs and the major outlets. They've done their research, and they know that there's an issue here. So what we're looking at is really it's time now that the government system catches up to where the public is, because the amount of public outrage now compared to, say, 2011 is incredible. And I don't really see anybody that doesn't want to have this issue addressed, because us a nation, we want to move on. We had a conflict in Afghanistan. We've buried the dead. Now we want to take care of the injured and move on as a nation. As long as we have to be reminded that there will be young men and women who will forever be carrying disabilities to the day they die as a result of our obligations that we made to send them into harm's way, it bothers us. And I think people would like to go on knowing that our young men and women have been properly taken care of. And I think that's one of the reasons that, you know, for our society, we get contacted almost every day by people who want to give money or do something just so that they can see this matter be dealt with. So to answer your question, yes, the public is really on side with the fact that they want something done, and I think the government knows that now, and that's why they've asked us to come out and speak before the Standing House Committee. And we're very confident that, you know, we can fix this problem in a very short period of time if the will is there.
I had one major concern, and it's who's going to join the Army and the military now. We all know that when we joined, there was a chance that we could be wounded or killed. We all knew that signing the dotted line. We also knew that we'd be looked after if something happened, and it's not happening. I'm a 5th generation soldier. Like, the buck stops here. Like, there's no more. Like, there's who can join? Who can join knowing that there isn't going to be financial support in any means for wounded soldiers.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.